Hey all, it's time for Thrifty Thursday, where we talk about ways to save money.
I'm Dan.
I'm Karyn, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel,
hit that subscribe button
and that bell icon so you can be notified whenever we upload a new video.
We upload a video not one time,
2 times a week, and we talk about all kinds of things about homesteading and self-sufficient living. We're going to start off this time with thrift store finds, keeping our eyes open at thrift stores. One of the things that I found was something big for our dining room, and we want to tell you about it. So this was my find at a thrift store recently. It's actually a 5-legged farmhouse type table. We don't have the 5th leg on yet. We're waiting for a lag bolt, but this is a table that I saw at a thrift store, and I thought, I love the idea that it's so distressed. I really like distressed stuff, and I thought this would look great in our dining room. I was looking for a little bit smaller table, and it was interesting because when I went in to actually look at the table, I noticed a couple of things about the thrift store. Number one, it was stuffed with things. You could barely walk through it, and I'm thinking to myself, if I buy this table, this is going to be something that the thrift store owner wants to get out of there so they can put more things in. She asked for $100 for this table, and knowing that she probably wants to get it out of there, I thought, well, I'll offer her $50. Thinking that she would come back and say, you know, what about $75? And then I would take it. Well, I offered the $50, and she pretty much jumped at the chance and said, yes, I will take $50. So for $50, I got our dining table. We've had to do a couple modifications. So, Dan, do you want to talk about the modifications that we've had to do?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to tell you about the modifications. So first of all, the legs had wheels on it. There were 5 legs, and the wheels were small and in pretty bad shape. Even with the wheels on, the legs were too short. So we took the wheels off, and that took about 1.5 inches of the height off of the legs. And so looking through some of my salvaged materials, I found some 3.5 by 3.5 inch, and it was actually redwood.
You can see that the color is different. It's a whiter, but I have a cream colored paint that I could probably try to match that and distress it to make it like the rest of the table. But my question for you guys is, I really like the distressed look of this table. What do you guys think? Do you like it the way it is? Or should I try to redo the top a little bit? Curious for your answers. Another thing that we found at thrift stores recently, and actually Dan found one of these because you pointed it out to me at a thrift store. Whenever we're at thrift stores, I do like to look in the kitchenware section for name brand, good quality things I can use in the kitchen. Dan found this for me at a thrift store. We were together. We kind of split up. We always split up at a thrift store, and then he's like, did you see this? And I'm like, did you see that? But this is a Paladine stock pot, and I have used it over and over since we got it because I just love it. And I paid $3 for this Paladine stock pot, so that was a really good find, and thanks Dan for pointing that one out to me. The other thing in the kitchenware section that I found at this store was a Pampered Chef dish, stone dish. And this is actually a ridged baker you can use for bacon. But my thought was it's the perfect size for 2 nice big Iowa chops. Bake that in the oven for Dan and I. Since it's just the 2 of us most of the time now, kind of looking at collecting some smaller dishes. So I paid $2.75 for this Pampered Chef dish. Pretty good, huh?
Hey, yeah.
So Dan, when's the best time to go to a thrift store?
So tips on the best time to go to thrift stores. What I have found is that Monday and Friday is usually the best time to go to thrift stores. The reason why Monday is a lot of people go through their stuff on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They take it to Goodwill, other thrift stores that we go to, and they leave that stuff and it gets put on the shelves. And if you can go mid-morning is usually the best time. Another little tip about thrift stores is a lot of times when you go in, there will be a buggy that will have stuff in it that's not marked yet. So nobody except the people that work there have seen it. And so a lot of times you can nab those, they'll go back and tell you what they're going to cost, but a lot of times you'll get those before anybody else does.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people shop at these places on the weekends, so their inventory is a little bit depleted.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine they want to put a lot of stuff out on Mondays. And so like weekdays, I mean really if you're going to be general about it, weekdays, because weekends, everybody's shopping at these places on the weekend.
So one of the things that we want to talk about is repurposing. Sometimes things that people literally throw out are really, really good things to repurpose. And one of those things is wood ashes. In times past, wood ashes have been used for a multitude of things. They've been used to strengthen concrete. So there's a combination of Portland cement and lime and wood ashes, and it makes some really, really strong concrete. When we're talking about garden stuff, one of the things that lead into the garden stuff is compost. And so you can use wood ashes on your compost to speed up the decomposition so that your composting comes on faster. It'll also help condition your composting soil. You can use it in with your birds to create a dust bath. So if you use a combination of diatomaceous earth, some wood ashes, and some sand, this will help to kill bacteria and mites and stuff that could be bothering your chickens, turkeys, whatever kind of birds that you got.
But make sure that you've let the ash sit for 3 or 4 days before you actually use it for your chickens, because it might still have coals in it. It's been known to have
Hot chicks?
Yeah, hot chicks.
Hot chicks.
When you take it out of the fireplace, you should let it sit a couple of days before you actually put it in a dust bath for chickens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another thing that you can use it for is in the garage. Let's say that you're changing the oil and something happens and you end up spilling some oil. You can use some ashes to put on the oil spill and it'll soak up the oil, and you can scrape that up and clean it up and make things a whole lot easier.
So Dan was talking about compost. You can also put it on your garden soil to make the soil less acidic for some of the vegetables that need a less acidic soil. And some of those vegetables are cabbage, kale, beets, pole beans. There's some that really do thrive more in a less acidic soil. And what you want to do is, before you do anything to amend the soil with ashes, you want to kind of test your soil. You can buy test kits online. There's services that'll come out and test your soil and see what the pH level is. And if you find that it's really acidic and you're going to grow cabbage, and a little bit goes a long way. You don't want to dump a whole bunch of ashes in there because it is pretty strong. So just sprinkle it on there whenever you're doing your composting for your garden and work it in. Some vegetables don't like the less acidic soil. They need acidic soil. So you wouldn't want to put it where you're going to plant like cucumbers or tomatoes or carrots, and even things like blackberries, raspberries. They like a more acidic soil, and they won't thrive as much if you put wood ash on there. So really do your research before you use wood ash in the garden. And another thing I think we need to mention is that when we're talking about wood ash, we mean wood ash. We don't mean you burned your trash and there's some ash there. And we don't mean ash from treated lumber. You don't want to use ash from treated lumber. Just regular old wood ash is what we're talking about here. So there are a lot of uses for wood ash that, and there's more than that. You can look some up online, but those are some good uses for repurposing wood ash. Another thing I feel like we should mention, if you're going to be working a lot with wood ash, it can irritate your skin. So you probably want to use gloves and some long sleeves, maybe even a dust mask. Probably, because it can, irritate your respiratory system and that. So if you're going to be working a lot with it, take some safety precautions. Yep. Hey, thanks for being here today. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of our videos. And if you have a tip on saving money that you'd like to share, email that to Karyn@oursufficientlife.com, and we'll take a look and we'll feature it on one of our Thrifty Thursday videos.
And remember, the more your money works for you,
the less you have to work for money.
See you next time.